If you've been on the internet for the last 6 months, you have probably heard about Mel Robbins' new book, The Let Them Theory. So right now there is controversy around this book. People are saying that it was taken from Cassie Phillips' poem, Let Them. Other people are saying that the original idea was actually from a sermon. While that controversy is really important to talk about, what I find even more interesting is that this idea is not new. On one hand, the Let Them theory, whether presented as a poem, a book, a sermon, really hit for people. You can see that just based on the comments and the reviews and the general chatter about this book. On the other hand, a lot of people are calling the Let Them theory a rebrand, a repackage of old ideas that have been around forever. Some say it's stoicism in disguise. Other people say that it's taken from radical acceptance, Marshall Linehan's DBT, a form of therapy. Other people are saying, well, it's just like a glossy version of cognitive behavioral techniques. And you could so easily lean into the energy of, well, how silly that these people are eating up these ideas that are so old, as if those ideas are brand new. Or you could lean into the more helpful energy of how amazing that an old concept can be repackaged in a way that makes it even more accessible, that makes it hit even harder. In this video, I want to talk about what I am packaging as the repackaging effect and how you can embrace this idea in your own life so that you're more likely to stick to healthy habits, to embrace the values that you say you care about, and to just make life easier. Because if repackaging can work so well with the Let Them theory, why can you not make it work for you? Starting with step number 1, to repackage, you want to find a different why. So let's look at Let Them as a theory and how just a slight change in why helped it to hit so many more people. Mel Robbins packaged the Let Them theory in a really modern way. So she used examples like, man, I was in a plane and I was doing my work on my little laptop and the guy behind me was coughing and it was so annoying. She talked about how people from work had opinions about her and her competence and how she just had to let them and not care about what people thought of her. And that really appealed to a lot of people. People really got that and they were like, yeah, no, I struggle with those exact problems. The Let Them theory makes sense to me. On the other hand, Stoicism never presented the Let Them theory as just let them, but they definitely talked about how you need to focus on things that you can control and not things that you can't. And the way that they presented that was you need to do this in order to have control, in order to live a rational and disciplined life. And those are two very different ways of packaging the exact same concept that are going to appeal to very different people. And it really goes to show that you need to be told the same thing, but have it contextualized and framed in a way that really works for your brain for it to really click. An example of this in my own life is with the habit of meditation. So I have been told, you have been told, the world has been told meditation is good for you. We all know the generic objective reasons why we should meditate. However, one day I was thinking about how I wanted to stop thinking so much. I was like, I want to break the habit of overthinking. So then when I researched it, a lot of it showed meditation is one of the best ways to train your brain to let go of thoughts and to not overthink so much. All of a sudden, I had a why that I felt rather than a why that I understood analytically. Meditation had been framed and packaged in a way that was directly relevant to my problems and directly relevant to me in a way that just made sense for my brain. And if you've ever tried to change any habits in your life, you know that stumbling across a why that you can feel rather than just having a why that analytically makes sense to you is harder than it seems, which is why you need to embrace the next idea that I want to talk about. Learning to get your brain on the lookout for solutions to your problem. The thing is that you could stumble across the Let Them theory book, the Let Them poem, the Let Them sermon, and if you didn't stumble across it at a time where your brain was searching for a solution to a specific problem in your life, it wouldn't be anywhere near as useful for you. You might be like, oh, that's interesting and seems valid, but it's not no clicks are gonna happen in your brain. You're not gonna have any light bulb moments, which is why you need to get some favorite problems going so that you can have more of those light bulb moments. And one way to do this is the way that Richard Feynman did it, by quite literally creating a list of 12 of his favorite problems that he just had in his head at all times. Richard Feynman said, you have to keep a dozen of your favorite problems constantly present in your mind, although by and large, they will lay in a dormant state. Every time you read or hear a new trick or a new result, test against each of your 12 problems to see whether it helps. Every once in a while, there's going to be a hit and people will say, how did they do it? They're a genius. And there is a science to this, because when you get obsessed with your problems, your brain actually starts to sensitize to any information in your environment that could provide a solution solution to those problems. Typically, you don't really want to be obsessed with your problems so much as you want to be obsessed with finding a solution to your problem in like a gentle way. Because when you sort of gear your mind towards looking for solutions to your problems, you will hear little snippets of a podcast, little parts of a conversation, even advice that comes to you directly differently, because you have primed your brain to become really interested in any potential solutions in your environment. And when your brain is not primed to look for a solution, you could hear a piece of advice and not really have it spark anything in you. But when your brain is primed to look for solutions, you could hear the exact same thing and your brain would be like, hold on a second, we need to pay attention to that. That is important. And all of a sudden, you've got a why, you've got a framing, you've got a packaging of a concept that you previously maybe knew about that all of a sudden feels actually genuinely important to you. At the end of every podcast episode, I talk Recs of the Week, where I give you some recommendations that'll help you to dive deeper into the podcast topic of the day. I'm really struggling to get those words out. That is the best they're going to get. So the first rec of the week has to be the Eureka Factor. This is honestly a little bit of a sciencey book. Like, not really, but it is. Enough so that you might struggle to get through it. But it talks about the science behind the Eureka effect, behind the idea of your brain being sensitized to looking for solutions to your problems. I found this book fascinating. Like, that is my jam. I love this stuff. So I would highly recommend it if you're at all interested in insights and what role they play in change and behavior change and problem solving and all of that. I recommend heading down into the description of this or the show notes and reading the Let Them poem or listening to the Let Them sermon, because even the Let Them sermon has some comments on it that are like, this sermon changed my life. So clearly the Let Them packaging really does it for people. I appreciate you so much and I'll see you soon.